Let's run fast before my groom comes to get us. I don't want to marry that man.
I'm right with you. Keep going.
The grand ballroom of the Radisson Hotel erupted into chaos. She's gone. The bride is gone. A bridesmaid's scream pierced through the elegant classical music that had been playing softly in the background. Guests turned in their seats, champagne glasses frozen halfway to their lips. "What do you mean, gone?" someone shouted from the back. "She ran away, with some man in a wheelchair." The wedding coordinator stumbled into the ballroom, her face flushed red, her expensive clipboard clutched so tightly against her chest that her knuckles had turned white. Her perfectly styled hair was coming loose from its pins. I can't find her," she gasped, looking directly at the groom. "She's not in the bridal suite, she's not anywhere in the hotel. Someone saw her leaving through the back entrance with a man in a wheelchair." The ballroom exploded. Guests jumped from their seats, silk and satin rustling, designer heels clicking frantically against the marble floor. Everyone was talking at once, voices rising, speculation flying like wildfire. A man in a wheelchair? What man? Did anyone know about this? Is this some kind of joke? Oh my God, this is the scandal of the year. At the altar, Daniel Okafor stood frozen in his designer tuxedo that had cost more than most people's cars. His face, so handsome and confident just moments ago, had drained of all color. He looked like a statue, carved from marble, except for his hands. His hands trembled violently at his sides. "This can't be happening," he whispered. But his voice carried in the sudden pocket of silence that had fallen around him. "This can't be happening." His best man touched his shoulder. "Daniel, maybe there's an explanation." "An explanation?" Daniel's voice rose, cracking. "My bride just ran away with a cripple. What explanation could there possibly be?" The guests closest to the altar heard him. Gasps rippled outward like a stone thrown into a pond. Did he just say cripple? That's so disrespectful. But why would she run away? Look at him, he's gorgeous. And rich. The Okafor family is one of the wealthiest in Lagos. Two women in expensive Aso Ebi stood near the champagne fountain, their voices carrying across the ballroom, despite their attempts to whisper. "Something must be wrong with the girl," the first one said, adjusting her jewel. "Nobody runs away from a wedding like this. Nobody runs away from a man like Daniel Okafor." "Maybe she's mentally ill," the second woman suggested, her eyes gleaming with the thrill of fresh gossip. "I heard she's always been strange, too quiet, too simple, not like other society girls. But to run away with a disabled man, I mean, no offense to disabled people, but she could have had everything. Daniel is handsome, wealthy, from a good family. What could a man in a wheelchair possibly offer her?" "Maybe she's doing charity work," the first woman laughed cruelly. "You know how she's always at that orphanage in Ikeja? Maybe she thinks she's saving some poor crippled man. Or maybe," a third voice joined in, dripping with malice, "maybe she knows Daniel is too good for her. Maybe she's running away before he realizes what a mistake he made." Their laughter cut through the chaos like broken glass. The wedding coordinator rushed past them, her phone pressed to her ear. "Security? Yes, I need you to check all the exits. The bride has left the building. Yes, I know how that sounds. Just find her." Daniel's mother pushed through the crowd, her expensive gown swishing against the marble floor, diamonds glittering at her throat and wrists. Her face was a mask of fury and disbelief. "Where is she?" Mrs. Okafor's voice was sharp enough to cut. "Where is that foolish girl? How dare she humiliate my son like this? How dare she humiliate our family?" "Mother, please," Daniel started, but his mother wasn't listening. "We paid for everything. The hall, the catering, the flowers. Do you know how much this wedding cost? Do you know how many important people are here?" She gestured wildly at the crowd. "The governor's wife is here. The senators are here. And that stupid girl just ran away with some cripple." "Mrs. Okafor, maybe we should go somewhere private," someone suggested. "Private? Private?" Mrs. Okafor's voice rose to a shriek. "My son is standing at the altar, abandoned, humiliated in front of all of Lagos society, and you want me to be private?" Daniel's father appeared, his face grave. "Kioma, control yourself. You're making this worse." "Making it worse? How could this possibly be worse?" Meanwhile, At the back of the ballroom, another cluster of guests huddled together, their voices low but urgent. "I heard Chief Adeyemi is dying," one man said. "Cancer. He has maybe weeks left. This wedding was supposed to happen before he passed." "That poor man," a woman replied, shaking her head. "Imagine dying knowing your only daughter ran away from her wedding. The shame of it." "But why did she run? That's what I don't understand." "Maybe she never wanted to marry Daniel in the first place. You know how these arranged marriages work. The parents decide, the children obey. But still, to run away on the wedding day itself, that takes either incredible courage or incredible foolishness. Or desperation." The guests fell silent at that observation, considering it. Near the entrance, bridesmaids clustered together, some crying, others furiously scrolling through their phones. "She's not answering my calls," one of them said, her voice panicked. "Mine either. It goes straight to voicemail. Do you think she's okay? What if something happened to her? What if she was kidnapped? That man in the wheelchair, what if he took her by force? Don't be stupid. Someone saw her leave willingly. She was walking beside him, not being dragged." "But why? None of this makes sense. Precious was always strange, though, remember? She never came to any of our parties, never dressed up, never tried to fit in. She was nice, though. Quiet, but nice. Nice doesn't run away from her own wedding." The whispers continued, spreading like poison through the elegant ballroom. "I heard the Adeyemi family paid a huge bride price. Millions, I'm sure. And now Daniel's family will want it returned. This is going to be a legal nightmare. This is going to be the gossip of Lagos for months. Can you imagine? This will be in all the society magazines. Social media is going to explode." The minister, who was supposed to perform the ceremony, stood awkwardly at the altar, his Bible still open to the marriage passages, unsure what to do with himself. Daniel suddenly snapped out of his frozen state. He grabbed his best man's arm roughly. "Find her. I don't care what you have to do. Find her and bring her back here. Now." "Daniel, maybe we should wait." "Wait for what? Wait for her to make an even bigger fool of me? Wait for every society page in Lagos to print this story. Find her." His best man hurried off, pulling out his phone, barking orders to anyone who would listen. Daniel turned to scan the crowd, his eyes wild. He spotted his father talking urgently with Chief Adeyemi's advisor. "Where is her father?" Daniel shouted across the ballroom. "Where is Chief Adeyemi? He promised me. He promised me his daughter. He gave me his word." An uncomfortable silence fell. The guests who knew about Chief Adeyemi's condition exchanged worried glances. "Daniel," his father said quietly, approaching him, "Chief Adeyemi is very ill. He's been brought to the hotel, but he's resting. We can't disturb him with this right now." "Can't disturb him?" Daniel's voice was approaching hysteria. "His daughter just ran away from our wedding, and we can't disturb him?" "Son, you need to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Do you know what this does to our reputation? Do you know what people will say? They'll say I wasn't good enough. They'll say there was something wrong with me. There must be some explanation," his father insisted, but even he looked shaken. The wedding coordinator returned, looking even more frazzled. "I've checked all the security footage. She left through the service entrance at the back of the hotel approximately 40 minutes ago. She was with a man in a wheelchair. They got into a taxi and left." "A taxi?" Mrs. Okafor shrieked. "She left in a taxi, like common people?" "Yes, ma'am. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. What kind of bride runs away in a taxi?" Daniel grabbed the coordinator's shoulders, shaking her slightly. "What did the man look like? The one in the wheelchair?" I don't know. He was wearing a cap. I couldn't see his face clearly." "How old was he?" "Young, maybe early 30s. And Precious just went with him, willingly?" "Yes, sir. She was walking beside him. She didn't appear to be in distress." Daniel released her and stumbled backward. "This doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. We've been planning this wedding for 2 months. Everything was fine. She was fine. We had dinner 2 nights ago. She seemed happy." "Did she, though?" a voice said from the crowd. Everyone turned to look at the speaker, one of the older women, a friend of Precious's late mother. "What did you say?" Mrs. Okafor demanded. The older woman stepped forward, her face serious. I said, did Precious actually seem happy, or did she seem compliant? There's a difference. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm stating a fact. That girl has been quiet and obedient her whole life. She does what her father tells her. She does what society expects. But has anyone, even once, asked her what she wants? She wanted to marry my son, Mrs. Okafor insisted. Did she? Or did her dying father want her to marry someone who would take care of her after he's gone? The guests began murmuring again, considering this new perspective. This is ridiculous, Daniel said, his voice cold now, the hysteria giving way to anger. Precious agreed to marry me. She said yes. She signed the marriage contract. She accepted the bride price. This is legally binding. Legally binding? The older woman raised her eyebrows. Marriage requires consent, Daniel. If Precious changed her mind, she doesn't get to change her mind. Not on the wedding day, not in front of everyone. Actually, the older woman said calmly, she gets to change her mind whenever she wants. That's what consent means. Daniel's face flushed red with rage. Get out! Get out of my wedding! It's not your wedding anymore, dear. It's a crime scene of your humiliation. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone laughed, quickly stifled. Daniel looked around at all the faces staring at him. Some sympathetic, some curious, some barely hiding their amusement. The pity in their eyes was worse than anything. This isn't over, he said, his voice shaking. Chief Adeyemi made a promise. His family made a promise. Precious made a promise. This isn't over. But even as he said it, he knew the truth. His perfect wedding was destroyed. His perfect bride was gone. And all of Lagos was watching his humiliation unfold in real time. Outside the ballroom, in the hotel corridor, Chief Adeyemi's nurse hurried toward his room, her face pale with worry. She needed to tell him what had happened. But how? How do you tell a dying man that his daughter has just caused the biggest wedding scandal in Lagos history? But the question remained, hanging in the air like smoke, whispered from guest to guest, posted on social media, destined to become the mystery everyone would talk about for months. Why did Precious Adeyemi, beautiful, wealthy, educated Precious Adeyemi, run away from her own wedding with a man in a wheelchair? Nobody in that ballroom knew the answer, but they were about to find out. To understand what happened in that ballroom, we need to go back to where this story really began. 3 months earlier, Precious Adeyemi sat in her father's study, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes fixed on the carpet. She was 28 years old, the only daughter of Chief Marcus Adeyemi, one of the wealthiest men in Lagos. But wealth hadn't brought her happiness. It hadn't brought her love. Precious. Her father's voice was weak, ravaged by the cancer eating away at his body. He sat behind his massive desk, looking smaller than she'd ever seen him. We need to talk about your future. Precious looked up. Her father's face was gaunt, his skin grey. She felt tears burning behind her eyes, but forced them back. Papa, please. You need to rest. I've rested enough. He coughed, a wet, rattling sound that made Precious's heart clench. I need to know you'll be taken care of. Don't say it. After I'm gone, he continued gently. Precious, you're 28. You're beautiful, you're kind, you have so much to offer, but you need someone to protect you. This world is cruel to women alone. Precious swallowed hard. She knew what was coming. They'd had this conversation before, in different forms, with different words, but always the same meaning. I've found someone, her father said. A good man. His name is Daniel Okafor. His father and I have done business together for years. Daniel is educated, handsome, well-mannered. He's agreed to meet you. Agreed? Precious's voice was barely a whisper. Don't start, Precious. I know what you're thinking, but this is how things are done. Your mother and I were introduced by our families, and we had 40 good years together before she passed. Precious wanted to argue, wanted to say that times had changed, that she could take care of herself, that she didn't need a husband chosen by her dying father. But when she looked at his face, at the desperate hope in his eyes, the words died in her throat. Okay, Papa, she said quietly. I'll meet him. Daniel Okafor was everything her father had promised. Tall, handsome, well-dressed. When he arrived at the Adeyemi mansion for their first meeting, he brought flowers for Precious and respectful greetings for her father. "Miss Adeyemi," he smiled, showing perfect white teeth. "It's a pleasure to meet you." Precious shook his hand. His grip was firm, confident. Everything about him seemed perfect. Too perfect, maybe, but Precious pushed the thought away. They sat in the garden. Tea and small cakes laid out on the table between them. Daniel talked about his work in finance, his education abroad, his plans for the future. He asked Precious questions about her interests, seemed genuinely interested in her answers. "I hear you do charity work," Daniel said, "at the orphanage in Ikeja." "Yes." Precious's voice was soft, hesitant. She wasn't used to people taking interest in her work. "I go there 3 times a week, help with the children, bring supplies. They have so little." "That's admirable." Daniel leaned forward, his expression earnest. "In this city, so many people only care about wealth and status. It's refreshing to meet someone who cares about others." Precious felt a small flutter of hope. Maybe her father was right. Maybe Daniel was different. Over the next few weeks, they met several times. Dinners at expensive restaurants, walks through the botanical gardens, quiet conversations in her father's study while Chief Adeyemi watched with satisfied eyes. "He's good for you, Precious," her father said one evening after Daniel had left. "I can die in peace knowing you'll be taken care of." "Papa, please don't talk like that." But they both knew the truth. The doctors had given him 6 months, maybe less. 2 months after their first meeting, Daniel proposed. It was formal, traditional. He came to the house with his family, spoke to Precious's father, presented the bride price. Precious sat beside her father, silent, watching the negotiations, watching her future being decided by other people. "Precious?" Her father turned to her. "What do you say?" Everyone in the room looked at her, Daniel's parents, her father's advisors, the family lawyer, all waiting for her answer. Precious looked at Daniel. He smiled at her, that perfect smile. Everything about him seemed right. So why did something in her chest feel tight? Why did she feel like she was standing at the edge of a cliff? "Yes," she heard herself say. "Yes, I'll marry you." The room erupted in applause. Her father's eyes filled with tears of relief. Daniel crossed the room and took her hand, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. "You've made me very happy, Precious," he whispered. But Precious felt nothing. Just numbness, just the cold certainty that she'd just made the biggest decision of her life, and she'd made it for everyone but herself. The wedding was planned quickly. Chief Adeyemi's health was declining rapidly. He wanted to see his daughter married before he passed. Precious went through the motions, dress fittings, cake tastings, guest lists. She smiled when she was supposed to smile, nodded when she was supposed to agree. She was the perfect bride, quiet, obedient, grateful. Inside, she felt like she was drowning. The night before the wedding, Precious couldn't sleep. She lay in her childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling, her wedding dress hanging on the closet door like a ghost. Her phone buzzed, a message from Daniel. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. You're going to be the most beautiful bride Lagos has ever seen." Precious stared at the message. She should feel excited, happy, in love. Instead, she just felt empty. She got up, paced her room, picked up her phone again, almost called the whole thing off, almost. But she thought of her father, lying in the hospital bed they'd set up in his room. Thought of how much this meant to him, how he was holding on just to see her married. She put the phone down. Tomorrow, she would marry Daniel Okafor. Tomorrow, she would become Mrs. Daniel Okafor. Tomorrow, her life would begin. Or end. She wasn't sure which. The wedding day arrived with bright sunshine and clear skies. The Radisson Hotel ballroom was transformed into something from a fairy tale. White flowers everywhere, crystal chandeliers glittering, silk draped from the ceiling. Precious sat in the bridal suite, surrounded by makeup artists and hairstylists and bridesmaids who weren't really her friend and just daughters of her father's business associates playing their parts. "You look stunning," one of them said, but Precious barely heard. She stared at herself in the mirror. The dress was beautiful, white lace and silk, custom-made, costing more than most people in Lagos earned in a year. Her hair was swept up, her makeup perfect. She looked like a princess. She felt like a prisoner. Precious. Her aunt entered the room smiling widely. Your father is asking for you. He wants to see you before the ceremony. Precious stood carefully, holding the dress. She walked down the hotel corridor to her father's room. He'd been brought to the hotel in an ambulance, too sick to travel but determined to walk his daughter down the aisle. Chief Adeyemi lay on the bed, oxygen tubes in his nose, but his eyes lit up when Precious entered. My daughter, he whispered. My beautiful daughter. Precious knelt beside the bed, careful of her dress. Papa. You're doing the right thing, Precious. Daniel will take care of you. Everything I've built, everything I've worked for, it will be yours. You'll be protected. Precious took her father's hand. It felt like paper, fragile and thin. I love you, Papa. I love you too, my child. Now go. Go marry your husband. Let me see you happy before I close my eyes for the last time. Precious kissed her father's forehead and left the room, tears streaming down her face, ruining her perfect makeup. 30 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to start, Precious stood in the hallway outside the bridal suite, her hands shaking. The makeup artist had fixed her face, but inside, Precious was falling apart. She needed air, she needed space, she needed to think. I'll be right back, she told her bridesmaids. But Precious, the ceremony. 5 minutes, please. I just need 5 minutes. She walked down the corridor, her dress rustling, her heart pounding. She needed to see Daniel, needed to talk to him, needed to feel something, anything, to make this real. She reached his room on the 3rd floor. The door was slightly open. She raised her hand to knock. Then she heard voices. Baby, you know I love you. Daniel's voice, but softer than she'd ever heard it. Intimate, real. Then why are you marrying her? A woman's voice, young, petulant. Precious's hand froze. I told you, it's business. Her father is dying. Once he's gone, I'll have control of everything. The companies, the properties, the money, all of it. But you'll be married to her. Daniel laughed, a cold, cruel sound that Precious had never heard before. Not for long. Give it a year, maybe less. I'll find a reason for divorce. Claim she's unstable or something. Her father will be dead, so there'll be no one to protect her. I'll get half of everything in the settlement, then you and I, baby, will be set for life. What if she fights? She won't. Look at her. She's pathetic, plain, quiet, spineless. She does what she's told, always has. That's why her father chose me. He knows she needs someone strong to control her. God, I can't wait. This time next year, we'll be together for real. And rich beyond our wildest dreams. They laughed together. The sound echoed in Precious's ears like breaking glass. Precious stepped back from the door. Her vision blurred. Her chest felt tight. She couldn't breathe. She turned and ran, not back to the bridal suite, not to her father's room. She ran to the back of the hotel, through a service door, into the garden area where deliveries were made. She collapsed on a bench, her perfect dress pooling around her, tears streaming down her face. What am I going to do? She whispered. What am I going to do? Her father was dying. He was holding on just to see her married. If she called off the wedding now, it would kill him. The shock, the disappointment, it would literally kill him. But if she went through with it, she would be destroyed. Daniel would use her, take everything, throw her away like garbage. Precious buried her face in her hands and sobbed. Excuse me? A voice cut through her, crying, Are you all right? Precious looked up, startled. A man sat in a wheelchair a few feet away. He was young, maybe early 30s, wearing casual clothes and a baseball cap pulled low. His face was kind, concerned. I'm sorry, Precious said, trying to wipe her tears. I didn't see you there. It's okay. He rolled his wheelchair closer, stopping at a respectful distance. I'm James. I was just... Well, it doesn't matter what I was doing here. You're clearly in distress. Can I help? Precious laughed bitterly. Unless you can turn back time or make people honest, I don't think anyone can help me. James tilted his head. That sounds serious. It is. Precious wiped her face again, not caring that her makeup was ruined. I'm supposed to get married in 20 minutes, but I just found out my fiancé is a liar and a thief who only wants my father's money. James was quiet for a moment. That's terrible. I'm sorry. The worst part is, I can't even call it off. My father is dying. This wedding is the only thing keeping him alive. If I cancel it, the shock might kill him. So you're going to marry a man you know will destroy you to keep your father happy? What choice do I have? James looked at her for a long moment. In the afternoon light, Precious could see his face more clearly. He was handsome in a worn sort of way, like someone who'd seen too much, suffered too much, but hadn't given up. There's always a choice, James said quietly, even when it doesn't feel like it. What would you do? Precious asked. If you were me? James smiled sadly. I'd choose myself. I'd choose the life I want, not the life everyone else wants for me. But that's easier said than done, I know. They sat in silence for a moment. Precious felt her breathing slow, her panic recede slightly. There was something calming about this stranger, something that made her feel less alone. Can I ask you something crazy? Precious said suddenly. Crazy is my specialty. Precious took a deep breath. Would you let me run away with you, right now? Just leave. Disappear? James stared at her. You're serious? Completely serious. I know it sounds insane, we don't know each other, but I can't marry Daniel. I can't. And I can't face everyone alone. So I'm asking you, a stranger in a wheelchair, if you'll help me escape my own wedding. Why me? Because you're here. Because you listened. Because, Precious's voice broke, because you're the first person in months who's treated me like a person, not a problem to be solved or a prize to be won. James was quiet for a long time. Precious watched emotions flicker across his face. Confusion, concern, something else she couldn't identify. Finally, he spoke. Okay, I'll help you. But Precious, are you absolutely sure, once we do this, there's no going back? I'm sure. And for the first time in months, Precious truly was. 20 minutes later, the ballroom was in chaos. Precious walked through the main doors in her wedding dress. Beside her, James rolled his wheelchair slowly, steadily. The guests gasped, stood, started shouting. Daniel stood at the altar, his face white with shock. Precious? What are you doing? Precious walked down the aisle, her head high, her steps steady. James rolled beside her. When they reached the front, Precious turned to face the crowd. I need to say something, she announced, her voice carrying across the ballroom. Precious, what's going on? Her aunt rushed forward. Where have you been? Why aren't you in your dress? Because I'm not marrying Daniel. The room erupted, shouting, gasping, people jumping to their feet. Let her speak! James's voice cut through the noise, strong, commanding. Everyone fell silent. Precious looked at Daniel. His handsome face was twisted with barely contained rage. You're making a scene, Precious. Come on, let's talk about this privately. No, everyone needs to hear this. Precious turned to the crowd. 30 minutes ago, I went to see Daniel before the ceremony. His door was open. I heard him talking to another woman. Daniel's face went pale. Precious, you misunderstood. I heard him say he was only marrying me for my father's money. That once my father died, he would divorce me and take half of everything. That I was pathetic and spineless, and he was going to use me and throw me away. The crowd exploded again, louder this time, angrier. Daniel's mother screamed, She's lying! My son would never… I'm not lying. Precious's voice was calm now, steady, and I have proof. She pulled out her phone, pressed play. Daniel's voice filled the ballroom, clear and damning. It's business. Her father is dying. Once he's gone, I'll have control of everything. Precious let the recording play for 30 seconds, long enough for everyone to hear the truth. Then she stopped it. The silence was deafening. Daniel lunged forward. You recorded me. You… James moved his wheelchair between them. Don't touch her. Daniel looked down at the man in the wheelchair, his face twisted with contempt. Or what? You'll do what, cripple? Daniel! His father grabbed his arm. Enough! But Daniel shook him off. He pointed at Precious, his finger trembling with rage. You think you can humiliate me like this? You think you can walk away? Your father gave me his word. My father didn't know you were a liar and a thief. Precious's voice remained calm. And neither did I, until today. No one will believe you. You're nothing without your father's name. They already believe me, Precious said quietly. You heard the recording. They all heard it. Daniel's face went from white to red. You'll regret this. I'll ruin you. I'll destroy everything. That's enough. Chief Adeyemi's voice, weak but firm, cut through the chaos. Everyone turned. Precious's father stood in the doorway, supported by two nurses. His face was grey, his body frail, but his eyes blazed with fury. Papa! Precious started toward him. Stay there, Precious. Her father's voice was barely audible, but everyone strained to hear. I need to say this. He looked at Daniel. I chose you for my daughter because I thought you were a man of honor. I was wrong. I nearly destroyed my child's life because I was desperate and foolish. Chief Adeyemi, I can explain. Get out. The command was soft but absolute. Get out of this hotel. Get out of my sight. If I ever see you again, if you ever come near my daughter again, I will use every resource I have to destroy you. Do you understand? Daniel's face crumpled. He looked around the room, at the guests staring at him with disgust and horror. His parents wouldn't meet his eyes. Without another word, he turned and ran from the ballroom. The crowd erupted again, but Chief Adeyemi raised his hand for silence. His eyes found Precious. Come here, my daughter. Precious crossed the room, tears streaming down her face. She knelt beside her father's wheelchair. I'm sorry, Papa. I'm so sorry. I know you wanted... Shh. He touched her face gently. You have nothing to be sorry for. I'm the one who should apologize. I tried to force you into a marriage that would have destroyed you. I was so worried about leaving you alone that I didn't see I was giving you to a monster. It's not your fault. You didn't know. I should have known. He looked up at James, who had rolled his wheelchair closer. And who is this young man? Precious stood, turning to James. This is James. He helped me today. Helped me be brave enough to do the right thing. Chief Adeyemi studied James carefully. Thank you for protecting my daughter. She didn't need much protection, James said. She's stronger than anyone gives her credit for. Chief Adeyemi smiled slightly. You're right about that. He looked at Precious again. What do you want to do now, my child? It's your choice. It was always supposed to be your choice. Precious looked at James, then back at her father, then at the crowd of guests, all watching, all waiting. Precious paused, gathering her courage. I want to marry someone who actually cares about me, someone who sees me, not my father's money, someone who would help a stranger in a garden without expecting anything in return. She turned to James. I know this is crazy. I know we just met, but James, would you marry me? Right now, today, in front of everyone? The ballroom went silent. James stared at Precious, his expression unreadable. Precious, he said softly, there's something you need to know first. I don't care what it is. I've made my decision. You need to hear this. James took a deep breath. I'm not actually crippled. Precious blinked. What? James gripped the arms of the wheelchair. Slowly, steadily, he stood up. The crowd gasped. Precious stumbled backward, her hand flying to her mouth. James stood tall, whole, uninjured. He pulled off his baseball cap, revealing a face that several people in the crowd seemed to recognize. My name is James Okonkwo, he said, his voice carrying across the ballroom. 3 years ago, Daniel Okafor married my sister, Blessing. He convinced her he loved her. Convinced my family he was a good man. He took everything we had, our savings, our property, our business. Then he divorced her, took half of everything in the settlement, and left her with nothing. The crowd erupted in shocked whispers. James continued, his voice hard. My sister couldn't live with the betrayal. She killed herself 6 months ago. I've been tracking Daniel ever since, trying to gather evidence to bring him to justice. When I heard about this wedding, I came to stop it. I've been watching him, waiting for the right moment. He looked at Precious. I didn't expect to meet you. Didn't expect you to be so different from what I imagined. And I definitely didn't expect you to ask me to run away with you. Precious felt like the ground was tilting beneath her. You lied to me. I did. I'm sorry. But Precious, everything else was real. The conversation we had, the connection we felt, that was all real. But the wheelchair was a disguise. Daniel has never seen my face, but I needed to stay hidden while I watched him. The wheelchair made me invisible. People don't really see disabled people. They look past them. Precious didn't know what to feel. Anger, betrayal, relief. Confusion. So everything was fake? No. James stepped closer, his eyes intense. The wheelchair was fake. My interest in you, my respect for you, my admiration for your courage, that was all real. Precious, you're the most genuine person I've met in years. You could have married Daniel, lived in luxury, never worked another day in your life. But you chose to expose him, even though it meant humiliating yourself in front of everyone you know. That takes real courage. I'm not brave, Precious whispered. I'm terrified. Being brave doesn't mean not being afraid. It means doing the right thing even when you're scared. Chief Adeyemi cleared his throat. Young man, you're telling me you deceived my daughter? James turned to face him. Yes, sir, I did, and I apologize for that. But I also saved her from a man who would have destroyed her. My methods weren't honest, but my intentions were. And now? What are your intentions now? James looked at Precious. That depends on Precious. Everyone turned to look at her, the bride who had run away from her own wedding, the quiet girl who had found her voice, the woman standing at a crossroads, deciding her own future for the first time in her life. Precious took a deep breath. My father asked me what I want, she said slowly. For the first time in my life, someone is actually asking what I want. She looked at James. I want someone who sees me, who respects me, who doesn't try to change me or use me or control me. James, you lied about the wheelchair, but you didn't lie about treating me like a person. You listened to me, you helped me, you didn't judge me or try to fix me. She turned to her father. Papa, I know you want me to be safe, but I don't want safe anymore. I want real. I want someone who chooses me, not your money, and I want to choose them back. She looked at James again. So yes. If you'll still have me, I want to marry you. Not because I'm desperate or scared, but because in the last hour you've shown me more respect and kindness than anyone has in years. James crossed the distance between them. Precious, I can't offer you wealth. I'm not poor, but I'm not rich like your father. I can't give you luxury or status or... I don't want that. I want a partner, an equal, someone who sees me as a person, not a prize. James smiled. Then yes, I'll marry you. Today, right now, in front of everyone. The crowd erupted. Some people cheered, some people protested. Chief Adeyemi's advisors rushed forward, trying to talk him out of allowing this. But Chief Adeyemi raised his hand. Enough. The room fell silent. My daughter has chosen, he said quietly, and I trust her judgment. James Okonkwo, if you hurt my daughter, if you betray her trust, I will hunt you to the ends of the earth. Do you understand? I understand, sir. And I give you my word, I will spend the rest of my life proving myself worthy of her. Chief Adeyemi nodded. Then you have my blessing. He looked at the minister, who stood frozen at the altar. We still have a wedding to perform, let's not waste any more time. And so, in front of a crowd that had come to see one wedding and witnessed something completely different, Precious Adeyemi married James Okonkwo. The vows were simple, traditional, real. I, Precious, take you, James, to be my husband. In sickness and in health, in wealth and in poverty, in truth and in honesty. I, James, take you, Precious, to be my wife. I promise to see you, to hear you, to value you, to be your partner, your equal, your friend. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, James cupped Precious's face gently. Are you sure about this? Precious smiled, tears streaming down her face. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. They kissed, not the performative kiss of a wedding photo, but something real, something genuine, something that spoke of possibility and hope and new beginnings. The crowd erupted in applause. Not everyone approved. Some people left in disgust, gossiping about the scandal. But many stayed out, moved by what they'd witnessed. Chief Adeyemi watched his daughter with tears in his eyes. His advisor leaned close. Sir, are you sure about this? We don't know anything about this man. I know enough, Chief Adeyemi interrupted. I know he came here to save someone from Daniel. I know he protected my daughter when she needed it. I know he's honest with her. That's more than I can say about the man I chose. The reception that followed was unlike any Lagos had ever seen. Half the original guests had left, but those who remained celebrated with genuine joy. Precious and James sat at the head table, talking quietly, getting to know each other properly for the first time. "Tell me about your sister," Precious said softly. James's expression clouded. "Blessing was 2 years older than me. She was brilliant, kind, trusting. When she met Daniel, she thought she'd found her soulmate. By the time she realized the truth, it was too late. He'd taken everything. I'm sorry. I wanted revenge. I spent 2 years tracking him, gathering evidence, but when I met you today, when I heard your story, I realized revenge wouldn't bring her back. Saving you, though, that felt like something Blessing would have wanted." Precious took his hand. "Thank you for saving me. Thank you for being brave enough to save yourself." They talked for hours, about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. By the time the evening ended, they knew more about each other than many couples who'd dated for years. Chief Adeyemi called them over before he left. He looked exhausted, grey, but his eyes were clear. "Precious, my child, I don't have much time left, but I'm dying in peace now, knowing you're with someone who truly values you." "Papa, don't talk like that. It's okay. I've made my peace." He looked at James. "Young man, my daughter is my greatest treasure. Protect her, not because of her wealth, but because of who she is." "I will, sir. You have my word." Chief Adeyemi nodded. "Good. Now take her home. Start your life together. Don't waste time like I did, worrying about things that don't matter." Precious hugged her father tightly, breathing in his familiar scent, memorizing the feeling of his arms around her. "I love you, Papa." "I love you too, my daughter. Now go. Be happy. That's all I ever wanted for you." James and Precious left the hotel together, stepping into the warm Lagos night. A car waited, not a luxury vehicle, but a simple sedan. James opened the door for Precious. "My place isn't fancy," he warned. "Nothing like what you're used to." "I don't care about fancy," Precious said. "I care about real." They drove through the city, leaving behind the wealth and glamour of her father's world. James lived in a modest apartment in a middle-class neighborhood. Nothing luxurious, but clean, comfortable, honest. "It's perfect," Precious said, looking around. "You say that now. Wait until you miss your mansion and your servants." Precious turned to him. "James, can I tell you something? Anything. I've never been happy in that mansion. All my life people have told me how lucky I am, how blessed I am to have wealth and status, but I've been lonely, so lonely I didn't think I'd survive it." James pulled her close. "You're not alone anymore. Neither are you." They stood in his small living room, holding each other, two wounded people who'd found each other in the chaos. "What happens now?" Precious asked. "Now we figure it out together, one day at a time." "What about Daniel? Will you still try to bring him to justice?" "I have all the evidence I need. Tomorrow I'll take it to the authorities. He'll face consequences for what he did to Blessing, to my family, to you. But tonight, I don't want to think about him. Tonight, I just want to be here with my wife." Precious smiled. "Your wife? That sounds strange. Good strange or bad strange?" "Good strange. Definitely good." They spent their first night together, talking, laughing, slowly dropping the walls they'd both built around their hearts. By the time the sun rose over Lagos, they felt like they'd known each other for years instead of hours. 3 weeks later, Chief Marcus Adeyemi passed away peacefully in his sleep. Precious grieved deeply, but she wasn't alone. James was there for every tear, every moment of pain, every memory she needed to share. They buried Chief Adeyemi with full honors, and Precious stood at the graveside with her head high, her hand in James's. "He died happy," James said softly. "He got to see you safe and loved. Because of you. No, because of your courage." At the reading of the will, Precious discovered her father had left her everything. The companies, the properties, the wealth. His advisors immediately began circling, trying to influence her decisions. But Precious surprised them all. She appointed honest managers to run the companies. She sold some properties, kept others. She established a foundation in her father's name, dedicated to helping victims of financial fraud and abuse. And she made James a partner in everything, not because he asked, but because she wanted him to be. "This is your inheritance," James protested. "I can't." "It's our life," Precious interrupted. "We're partners, remember? Equals." James pulled her close. "How did I get so lucky?" "We both got lucky. We found each other when we needed each other most." 6 months after their unexpected wedding, Daniel Okafor was arrested. The evidence James had gathered, combined with Precious's testimony and recordings, was overwhelming. Daniel was charged with fraud, theft, and conspiracy. At the trial, other victims came forward. Daniel had scammed multiple people over the years, always targeting wealthy families with daughters to marry. Precious sat in the courtroom, watching the man who'd almost destroyed her being led away in handcuffs. She felt no satisfaction, no revenge, just relief that he couldn't hurt anyone else. "It's over," James said, taking her hand. "It's over," Precious agreed. They walked out of the courthouse together into the bright Lagos sunshine, ready to start the next chapter of their life. 1 year after their wedding, Precious and James stood in the garden behind their new home. Not a mansion, but a comfortable house with space for a family. Precious's charity work had expanded. She now ran multiple programs helping vulnerable women and children. James had used his business skills to help grow Chief Adeyemi's companies ethically and honestly. "Do you ever regret it?" James asked, pulling Precious close. "Walking away from that life? Marrying a stranger?" Precious looked up at him. "Not for a single second. You know what I regret? All the years I wasted being who everyone else wanted me to be, instead of who I really was." "And who are you really?" "I'm still figuring that out, but I know I'm someone who values truth over comfort. Someone who would rather have real love than fake security. Someone who's brave enough to choose her own path." James kissed her forehead. "I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us." They stood in their garden as the sun set over Lagos. Two people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way. A bride who ran from her wedding. A man in a wheelchair who wasn't crippled at all. Two broken people who'd helped each other heal. "James," Precious said quietly. "Yes? Thank you for being in that garden. Thank you for listening. Thank you for helping me be brave. Thank you for asking me to run away with you. Thank you for seeing past the wheelchair to the person underneath. Thank you for choosing me." "I'd choose you again," Precious said. "Every single time. So would I." They kissed as the stars began to appear in the sky, two souls who'd found their way home. If you enjoyed this story of courage and unexpected love, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to choose yourself, to be brave, to find real love in unexpected places. Remember, the best victories in life come from surrendering to truth instead of living a lie. Precious and James found each other because they were both brave enough to be honest, even when honesty was hard. What would you have done in Precious's position? Would you have gone through with the wedding? Or would you have been brave enough to run? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, remember that true love isn't about perfection or wealth or status. It's about finding someone who sees you, values you, and chooses you for exactly who you are. This is your reminder that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected moments. Precious found her soulmate in a hotel garden when her world was falling apart. James found healing by saving someone else instead of seeking revenge. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. Hit that bell icon so you never miss our next upload. Thank you for watching, and remember, be brave enough to choose yourself.